welcome back to another reading. As I promised on the last video, we're going to do another one from Time is Changing. Actually, I'm going to do two today. One's just a couple pages, real short, but it's kind of shows Don's character. Don's kind of oddball. He's a brilliant guy, but he's got this weird sense of humor, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. But last time we read about Sandy going down and visiting Mary, Stagecoach Mary in the Wild West. And I like that one. But at the end of that one, Don and uh, Frank decided that they were going to go on this big feeding bash somewhere in time. And that's the one I'm going to read you today. So, nope, that's the one I was going to read later. I've got this all screwed up here. I put in bookmarks, but they don't seem to do any good. There we go. Okay. Operation Overeat. There's a quote in here on the beginning of it from Mae West. Too much of a good thing can be wonderful. Yeah, that's Mae West. Don had drawn two suits of clothes from the 1920s and placed them on the dressing table. He was a little concerned because Frank hadn't worn these clothes in a long time. When Frank arrived and dressed, he was a bit perturbed that the pants didn't meet and the vest wouldn't button. Don sympathized and made alterations on the pants and then removed the band on the back of the vest, replacing it with elastic bands. With Frank now complete, he put on his own suit. It was a close thing, but if he didn't take a deep breath, things would be fine. We're putting ourselves in a precarious situation here, Frank, Don admitted. Frank covered over Don with menace written plainly on his face. Don't you dare back out now. I wanted to do this since we started, and we're going to do it. Don added a bit of elastic, and it gave him comfort space. Wilf came over at Don's request to be their angel, though Frank questioned the need for one. We're just going out for a bite. What the hell can go wrong? Don shook his head. When people use that phrase, usually something major is just around the corner. Wilf brought Francis along. They did a check on the systems and announced all clear. Francis had the look of anticipation as though she only came because she knew a major embarrassing scene was about to unfold. Wilf was jovial and had already set up to record. Don located the Cherry Creek Inn in Colorado of 1922. It had some of the best food he had tried and was sure Frank would approve. As I walked through the portal, he looked back at Wilf and Francis, waving gleefully, and though he had misgivings, he had promised Frank and wasn't about to let him down. Walking through the lounge of the inn, they both picked up a pack of matches from the counter as souvenirs. Looking in at the red door into the restaurant, they stopped to admire. Red cloths covered the table at stuffed leather booths. Each table had a small light that cast a rosy glow reflected off the gleaming salt and pepper grinders near it. The maitre d'hotel glided over the carpet and greeted them warmly. They were guided to a table. Seating themselves, their host flourished another menu and opened it in front of Frank. Don asked for a bottle of Beaujolais and a tureen of caviar to whet their appetites. I've eaten here a few times with Scott, and the food is spectacular. Frank remembered the number of times he had been offered to join them and turned it down. He sat there kicking himself as the caviar arrived, and he tasted his wine. As Don had said, they were excellent. Serious considerations were underway as they determined an aperitif. Frank decided on smoked salmon and cream cheese with an oyster cocktail. Don, who was a little more familiar with the menu, had chicken liver pate, salad, and cold beef borscht. In the lab, Wilf and Francis flipped the communication switches for everyone except Frank and Don. In case you haven't heard, Don and Frank are on an eating trip where they plan to gorge themselves unconscious. We're taking bets on which part of their ensemble bursts first. Then at which course it happens. I tell you now, they're starting in grand style. Bets, please. A flurry of responses and the bets were in. Wilf let everyone know the recorder was on. Finishing off the beginning of their repast was uneventful. The table cleared and they ordered their second course. Frank had baked lobster thermidor with filet mignon and mushrooms. Don settled for a prime rib cattleman's cut and rainbow trout. For sides, they agreed on baked potatoes with everything and hot vegetables du jour. They both added salad with blue cheese and bacon crumbles. Francis zoomed in on separate screens so they could see which burst first, pants or vest. From the look of things, it might be close. Don ordered a Chateau Neuf de Pape, and Frank had a bottle of Blue Nun. As as he drank his wine, a tear came to Frank's eye, which made Don curious. Frank hastened to explain. Years ago, when I was about 15, I worked for a couple of German butchers. They're a great couple of guys, best meat around, and they sold by the whole, half, or quarter cow. My job was to make ground beef crowns and cut the larger pieces into smaller. For 2 years, I learned in butchering and then moved into sausage making. They said I was the worst sausage maker they ever had. Every Thursday, we would boil up hot dogs and get the our sausage out of the smoker. A large platter was filled and was brought into a sort of dining room. Everyone would sit down and feed and taste test with a bottle of Blue Nun wine each. I even got one, which probably wouldn't happen today. Sitting there drinking wine and sampling all those sausages was the high point of my week. To this day, I can't take a sip of Blue Nun without the memories flooding back. Every now and then, I go back and get some stuff like Metwurst and Leberkäse. Frank leaned back and finished off his thermidor and started on his filet. Don was rapturously finishing off his trout and wine. Both of their clothes were beginning to become taut, and the play became intense. Both being the main commentator and Francis adding color. Okay, sports fans, we're seeing increased tension on Frank's vest, Francis added, and there's definitely a bulge and spread in Don's pants. Here she colored and tried to clarify. His pants are starting to spread, and the button on them is flipping sideways. I haven't seen tension like this since the Oktoberfest of 1945. Wilf took over commentary. They're ordering desserts now, and this might just tip the scales, folks. Both contestants are deliberating over choices. We have a decision from Don. 3 desserts. You heard it here first. We have Lambert cheese, angel food cake with strawberry sauce, and fruit cheesecake. Frank seems to be up to the challenge and is making his move. He's chosen the assorted French pastries, ice cream with raisin sauce, and 3 parfaits, all different. Don isn't going to let that slide and ups the ante with 2 sundaes and a cream de caramel. Folks may be witnessing a blow-up that would make the wall shake. Francis put in her piece. So far, neither contestant has gone to the toilet, so the sides are equal. It's a race to see how much the human frame can stretch and modern fabric can endure. As the men savored their desserts, unaware of the frantic betting behind the scenes, they slowly sank lower in their seats. Countdown commencing now. We have increased pressure building and explosion is imminent. I repeat, explosion is imminent. Don paid their bill with a suitable tip for the destruction they were about to bring to the establishment. Both men held hands across their midsections. A look of panic spread over Frank's features and alarm on Don's. Well, be prepared to drop us through the floor, and he never got the rest of the sentence out. Don's fly buttons popped and Frank's vest buttons fired off, shattering glasses. Quickly, the 2 men dropped through the floor, disappearing from view before the shocked eyes of the other customers. Landing on the mats, the 2 men made for the bathrooms. As they waddled quickly, both pairs of pants ripped up the back, the belts barely keeping things together. Don emerged first to see Wilf and Francis doing a slow motion replay of their explosive departure. Folks, we have a winner. It is Frank at half a vest button. Trust me, it was a photo finish, and we had to slow things down considerably to declare who won. The winner of the betting is Sandy, whose winnings come to, here he did calculations, translating the total from various denominations, 4,023 drachmas. Francis had the last word. Tune in next time as we cover the wide, wide world of obscure sports. Wilf and Francis signing off. Do you do this often? Frank inquired. Depends on the circumstances, who's going, what the trip entails, and is Don involved. Those he's on have the best entertainment value and the butts go through the roof. Don and Frank went through and changed into sweats. Frank was sweating and in need of a rest. Don was wobbly on his feet. Patch us through to the moon and we'll rest and recover there. We'll call Honey and Sandy after we take a nap. Both men stopped at the first aid closet and took a bottle of Pepto and some Rolaids on the way. As they departed, Frank turned a worried countenance on Don. Did you folks stock up the snacks recently? Don groaned and pushed Frank through. Wilf and Francis notified everyone that they may need new scented air filters on the moon base before anyone else goes there. So that was that one. This is just an thing called interlude. There's not even a quote on the front of it because it's so short. But I love Don's character and kind of enjoyed writing this. Don and Zeke were sitting in the lab going over the trip Lon had participated in. Don was only half focused on the trip. The other part of his mind was taken up with examining a master load key his father had given him. There were two files that had him curious. The first said inquiry and was written in Comic Sans font, which struck him as odd. The other was labeled in case of emergency in large red letters and was subheaded, for honest to God emergency, no other options found. Last-ditch effort to protect the members of the guild. With all the addendum, he was distracted to activate the emergency. He was disinclined to activate the emergency file. There was an air of finality to it that made him ill at ease. He was pretty sure the inquiry key would be interesting, though. He knew his dad well enough that the title was written in comic font. Something pretty good was on the other side. Zeke, can we pause this for a second? I'm burning with a curiosity about the inquiry part of this key. Zeke shrugged and flipped the switch, sending control to Donald's board. He loaded the key and pressed the inquiry file. Time machine activated to almost full capacity. The chillers increased the fans. Battery power depleted to 20% and leveled off. Whatever was going to happen was using every bit of power they could give it. A blue orb grew in the middle of the air, hovering and glowing brightly. Colors started to swirl as it spread, shrunk, dissipated, and coalesced. It faded and reassembled into a glowing facsimile of Don. The eyes glanced around and rested on Zeke and Don. A warm smile suffused the face. My son, you have questions. Here in this fortress of solitude, we will work to find the answers. Speak, my son. Don was laughing so hard he couldn't speak for a while. As he laughed, the face went through all the changes from patient to exasperated to joining in. Hi, Donald, Zeke. I put this up in case I wasn't around and you needed advice. If there is anything I can help you with, ask questions and elaborate, and we should be able to come up with a solution. Donald, I'm always here for you, but don't rely on this too often. You're a hell of a lot smarter than your old man, and Zeke is smarter than both of us. Work through it with each other, and I'm pretty sure you will find the answers. If not, remember you have a whole team with which to work. Use them. After all these resources are exhausted, if I can still be of any assistance, use this file. Oh, I'm glad you didn't check the other file first. It really is in case of emergency only, and is a self-destruct key for Fred. We'll overheat all and melt down everything to the point, including all the subunits with it. I just pray we never have to use it. Just to be annoying, the buildup on this file changes the visual often, and it may show up as Brando, King Julian, your mom with my voice, or me with your mom's voice. There are plenty of others, so you won't know what you're getting. Take care, and I love you both. Over and out. The face shimmered and slowly faded as the soft, what a world, what a world. How could you destroy my beautiful wickedness? And the voice of the Wicked Witch of the West trilled through the speakers and slowly faded. So I had to add that one too. That's one of my favorites. Apologize for this being short, but we will do another reading. I'm going to get with Brian and see if I can do another chapter from A Lady Came Knocking. Last reading, we did two of them. So hopefully we can get a couple more out and see how Flats is doing with with Maddie. And if you've got anything, if you're an author and beg your pardon, if you'd like me to read your book, chapter or two, introduce it, I would be more than happy to. Always looking for new things to read. So until next time, I appreciate you stopping in and visiting. And thank you for coming in here and listening. Please add comments. I'm always interested to see how you like it or don't like it. I can stand a little honest criticism. So thanks again, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.